All right, it is now time for raising funds for World Domination, day number 157. So it's once again time for the daily update. So we're counting down the days until the next N13 merits hearing. So that's just about almost exactly a week away. Week and week and a day. So I did a little bit of work on preparing for that today. As for the block mining game, the last release was on September 10. The last video that was released was the accounting commentary, and I'm working on, today I started work on legal commentary. So I finished about half of the recording today, did a little bit of editing. So I'm hoping I can probably finish the recording tomorrow, and then probably a lot of the editing, we'll see. And we're also working on increasing revenue. So I recently started listing some Shopify products to test the Shopify integration with YouTube. May have made a couple sales there, but unfortunately, as soon as I got the sales, Canada Post went on strike for the third or fourth or fifth time in the last few years. Ever since the pandemic, they really seem to go off a cliff. What's the shop URL? If you click around to some of my videos, there should be actually there's only one product there. There's regular expression stickers. So if, go to one of my full length videos, and there should be some links below. Currently, I'm just kind of testing it out. I probably should. So I have two unshipped sticker packs. I should probably look into trying to ship those. I don't even know what's going to happen if I go to the post office. If they just don't accept mail now, or what. But yeah, if you order something, it'll probably take a long time. And I also do have what was it? It was Goethite, G-O, I think. It was some kind of iron ore that I hadn't heard of before. So I'm going to start testing out selling dedicated block types in the store. See how much, what kind of conversion rate I can get on that. And for the live streams, we're back to continuing work on development. So the goal currently is to get to version 0.0.9, which is going to include crafting recipes. And the major piece of development that I will need for that is a general purpose scrollable list UI feature. Got it? Excellent. That means my ads are showing correctly. Initially, I think I had an issue where the store wasn't set up right, and people were like getting some kind of error that a product was not available in your country or something. Right, let's look at what the state is. So last night, I made a decent amount of progress with the list feature. So I've got the ability to select list items. And it's responsive. Wait, I gotta actually look into what's the exact check I should be using to figure out the orientation. So another thing I thought I should so I had an issue last night with the border getting overwritten, and I think I can fix that. What I need to have is like an inner screen layer that I write to. And then I can merge down into that, and the clipping should work seamlessly. I'm still surprised you won't start something like Neat Code or Coding Jesus Business. Lead Code Clone with paid coaching for interviewees. You have teaching background. I know how to code. I don't know. Do people still do that? I know that was like some people were pushing stuff like that, where they're like, "Pay me $1,000 and I'll teach you to get a guaranteed job at Facebook." And people made a bit of money on that, but then I think that kind of crashed. And we're kind of tech is really in a recession now, so I don't know if I'm not sure how lucrative that would be. You'll probably get a lot of pushback from people saying like, this course is a scam. And I think actually to make the course content worthwhile, like for some of those like course teaching things where they're behind a paywall, I looked at some reviews of them, and the reviews were pretty poor. They were just like, there's just like some people sitting around and like drawing stuff on a whiteboard. It's just similar quality to like any random free content on YouTube. I think the real value out there would be if you had like maybe more recent connections to hook people up to those interview pathways. Nice work. What feature are you working on currently? We're working on a platform in C++ today. Currently, I'm working on like a generic list item feature. So basically like this, but this is kind of just like the prototype phase. That being said, I need to come up with an idea for my next project. How's the private equity home renovation situation? The renovation situation, there's been no updates on that. The next N13 merits eviction hearing is on October 6th, so it's about a week away. So we'll see what happens. I think there's some indications that I think there's a higher likelihood that we'll win the renovation case, but we'll see what happens in a week, I guess. I know why you won't do it. You're too honest. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's not even just about um, people people make that commentary. Like there's a lot of things I criticize. I'm like, this is not, it's not like ethical or productive. But and then people will be like, you got to just stop being so idealist. You got to take advantage of people a bit. But the thing is, I'm not even like, if I could make like a kind of, bad deal course and actually make a decent amount on it, like I'm not that nice of a person. Like I'm not that much of a saint. But the problem is, what happens when you get the worst of both worlds? Like what happens when you sell your reputation? You try to exchange your reputation for money, and you don't get either, and you burn through your reputation, and then you don't get, and then the project just doesn't work. So when you like trying to perpetrate a scam, and you don't even make money off it, and that's what I see a lot of people end up doing, and it's like, why bother? Oh wait. Is that 08 BCS, Bachelor of Computer Science? I don't know, I'm trying to decipher what you mean by that. What about robbing a bank? That's a good idea. I could try that. We should hack a world bank. North Korea tried to, one time they just sent some big invoice to like, they sent some form for like a wire transfer for like $1 billion or something to some, what was it? I think it was an African bank. You can Google the story. They sent this like wire transfer. There's like, yep, sure, it's sure is a legit transfer. Just send $1 billion to this random North Korean controlled bank account. And then they almost did it, but they misspelled something simple, and then somebody noticed the misspelling, and then they stopped the transfer. Can't guarantee an outcome from a course. That's the honesty. Yeah, I don't know. Like, are there any of those people who are doing like these teaching courses, things that are that like consistently do them and they actually work? Like it's I think there's a few people who've started these things and then like they'll do it for like 6 months and then they shut down the course. My flaw is that I price myself too low. Enterprise B2B, commercial pricing is always at least 2 orders of magnitude higher than what I charge. I guess, is that for like independent consulting, you mean, or? You have to check Code Jesus guy. Seems to have the persona and charisma to pull it off. Even he got some free promotion by hooking in the pirate software streamer drama. Yeah, I think I've seen his channel, but I don't know. It's another. It's like another independent business idea. Although, like, the question is it super profitable? There's a lot of people that have businesses, and like not to say that, not to criticize or say that someone's not successful, but then sometimes when you actually see the financials and like the work people put in and stuff, it's like it's also not super lucrative, and of course if you kind of let on that you're more successful than you are, that itself is a marketing strategy in itself. Not to say that anyone is lying about how well they're doing on stuff, but ever thought about working as a truck driver? I have not. Well, but way back in the day, I actually drove. I have been in a big truck years ago when I was a teenager. Tried it out, but there's a lot of things that you can do, but none of them, very few of them, are the lucrative winners that everyone wants. It's not, of course, just access to his platform, from what I understand. It's not like you have a curriculum to complete. Anyhow, if you ever have time, check him out for inspiration. He does C++ for quant trading. Quant trading. I would assume that's pretty competitive. That was what I wanted to do back in the day. I would assume there isn't really a lot of like independent retail quant trading these days. The Goldman Sachs and stuff like that. Like, I think the peak time for quantitative programmers was like 10 years ago or so. Regarding for pricing, how much would I charge for doing something? How much the company is charging? Regarding for pricing, how much I would charge for doing something, and how much the company is charging commercial clients for the same stuff. On the other hand, if your rent covered, you have more freedom. Yeah, these are all ideas, but like if there was one specific idea that just worked and made a lot of money, then I would certainly consider pursuing that. But there's like a million things that are like potential ideas, and then it's very frequent people get excited about an idea and then think, oh man, I figured out the solution. This is going to make so much money, and then it doesn't. Gotta add AI to the game's title, even if it doesn't have any. 10x more. Yeah, that's a good idea for marketing. Maybe that's an idea. Software model, an economy to validate business ideas. Not even sure if something like that could be built, but you're right, idea space is infinite. I mean, if you made a piece of software that could actually successfully identify winning business ideas, then I don't know, I think that would be worth like trillions of dollars. I think it'd be really hard to do that. E says hi. How's it going? Oops, sorry. Just watched a documentary group ask MIT grads to light a bulb with a wire and a battery. They all failed but one. I trust the knowledge of the person based on the quality of their projects. Yeah, I think I've actually seen that video before. It's kind of amusing. I guess that's the difference between like a highly theoretical university and like actually getting hands-on experience. I mean, for me, that seems like if you were the kind of kid who actually played around with that stuff, this kid had little like kits and stuff, and just like he had random wires and old bulbs and stuff and batteries laid around. I knew how to do that when I was like probably like 10 years old. That thing says concurrent viewers is 0, but that one says 5. Oh man, long. Ever work with drones? Think I'll buy a kit. Also interested in networks. I've never done anything with drones. It's kind of one of the things that's been on my list for like a long time to play around with, but the stuff they're doing now is like, well, even before the war, the stuff they were doing is pretty interesting and advanced. And I imagine now with like the military necessity to ramp up that stuff, it's probably pretty crazy. All right, the reason for doing that so that I could avoid redrawing the border. Yeah, some of that stuff with like the drone races that they have, that stuff is pretty impressive. And the fact that they're like, I mean, it's such an open-ended problem. There's so many, if you have time to optimize everything, there's so many like sensors, visual sensors, different kinds of optics that you could put on a drone to get like, well, to make it more performant, and so many algorithms for like load balancing and stuff. Nice, it works. Let's see. What would be the next thing to work on? Thought we'd have more robots by now. We have drones already in combat. Yeah, the futuristic idea of like humanoid shaped robots in the battlefield never panned out. Instead, we have something even more horrifying. Honestly, the prospect of like being on a battlefield with drones, that'd be so scary and paranoia inducing. I can only imagine the post-traumatic stress that you would get from like constantly thinking that you hear drones off in the distance. They're not quiet. But what about when they're far away? That's the really scary thing is the drones are like a multimodal thing. Not only can they have like stuff strapped to them, but you can have one like you could have a drone that's like 2 kilometers away with the telephoto lens watching you, and that it can call in coordinates from like where you are. And you won't hear them. They can see further than they can. The light travels further than the sound. Oliver 70 says yes. So I think the next thing will be making an update the offset. There's a war vet who talks about this. They have infrared at night scouting for soldiers. Or it's already a nightmare. Yeah, the stuff is so crazy. Infrared at night, it's like that basically makes it easier to find you during the night than during the day. Usually there's forest cover or some other concealment in practice. But apparently even like with like he was saying with thermal imaging, like you can see right if there's a person hiding in a bush or something, well, like with like thermal imaging at night, you can see right They just light right up. You can put on like camouflage and stuff to obscure it, and there's like thermal blankets and stuff, but those are not they like improve your chances, but it's not like an invisibility cloak. Is the warning the stream's current bitrate warning ever not there? There have been a couple of times where I didn't see it there. I think it's been there for basically every stream that I've ever done, like even going back to the beginning. Initially, I was like, maybe that's an issue, but I don't know. I think it's, I don't really know. Maybe it's there's probably some kind of variable encoding it's using, and maybe it's not getting like the most resolution possible out of it. But it's never really seemed to be an issue. EL1 says, "What are you doing?" I'm currently working on developing a terminal-based video game. Raising funds for world domination. Yep, I'm doing that too. If you want to see my world domination plans, there's a video link in the description with all my details of my plans. James 3D Prince says, "Hello. I was building something. Neat. What are you building?" I'll show the game in a second. From long to int. I got too many things that I'm mixing. Maybe it's better to just make that long. Chat's a little delayed. Okay, there's a setting for the latency or something. Maybe I need to I might have clicked it by accident. I built a guess using a 3D printer. I have no idea. But I have to go. Have a good night. Building a Raspberry Pi server using a 3D printed rack. Nice. 3D printed rack. I guess for plastics you want to make sure you got adequate cooling so you don't, because plastic's flammable, so you want to make sure you're not building a fire hazard. Yeah, I'm going to test something. Gain some subs. Nice. How much money have you been donated? I think it's in total. It's, I think it was around maybe like $2,500 since I started this series. It's slowed down quite dramatically in the last few weeks. I think it's only been like $300, or like around like $400 or something in the last month. RS says, give me a C, give me a B, give me a T. Oh, I think you were the one who who stopped by last night and said you were being censored, and then you mentioned something about CBT. Is that something about like edibles or something like that? I don't have any interest in that topic. Wow, 2000. Yeah, that's for 157 days of streaming. You have an interesting channel. Keep on going, brother. Thank you, I will. What software do you recommend to edit? I use just free software. I use Kden Live for video editing. All right, that works in that orientation. Colossal says hi. How's it going? My chat isn't going through your chat. Sometimes people's chats get like auto moderated. I don't have any moderation rules or anything, so if some of your chats are getting through, that we're getting probably censored by YouTube. If you like in this feature up here, when you change that to live chat, or your chats in there, I usually just keep it on top chat because I need some moderation, but I also I'm interested to know what YouTube is censoring, and people always tell me that they tried to talk about something and they got censored. I was asking for a mention so you can boost me a little. Oh, okay. I guess it makes sense why YouTube would censor that. It's probably a lot of people ask for that. Yeah, I guess you can. I think everyone else could probably click on James 3D Prints. I think you can. I guess I can't. I know I can, but I'm not sure if it's because I'm a moderator. But I guess anyway, if any of the people here, if the 8 people here are interested in 3D printing, go ahead and check out James 3D Prints. What programming language do you recommend for a beginner? That's a good question. I would say the best one to start off with is the one that kind of gets you into programming the most, and the one that motivates you to kind of learn more the most. I guess I should probably. I'm kind of going toward my standard answer is try either learning. So if you don't know any programming languages, so the other thing is eventually if you learn a lot, if you become a programmer, you will learn multiple languages. There's very few programmers that only know one language. Usually they'll know one language very well, but they know others pretty well. And I would say to start with either C or Python, and just try out either one of them, because there's a high probability that you if you're going to like programming, you'll probably like at least one of those languages. And there's tons and tons of documentation. There's lots of support. The amount of resources available to learn those languages is plentiful. They're both very useful, practical. Some people absolutely hate C programming because it's just too low level, and you can't really accomplish much. It's like a very micro level of it gives you a very low level of control over the computer, but it also puts you more in touch with how the hardware operates and stuff, how to control the hardware. And Python is way more high level, so you can do more useful, interesting stuff, and it's not as it's a lot more user friendly. Yeah, the code's a bit shorter, and yeah, I know it's yeah. Some people say they really like Python over C, and they strongly like one or the other. Thanks, no problem. Oops. I guess that's maybe an incomplete question. I meant to say, what are your thoughts on self-driving car industry? It seems like most of the hype is going to robotics AI. I'm not really sure. And I know self-driving cars, that was promised to be a big thing, and then it was seemed like kind of a dud. But now I think there are more examples of. I think there are a few production examples. I think in San Francisco there's a bunch of driverless cars that are racking up millions of miles and stuff now. So I would assume, like, the fact that it still exists at all, in my view, seems to be, it seems like there is some kind of growth on it. I'm not sure if it's still bounded by, like, it just needs to collect more data, because I assume the more data they collect, like, eventually it's going to converge to a point where they collect so much data that they probably can, especially with, like, ChatGPT. If you hook one of those up to ChatGPT, by now, like, the AI we have now is really, it's able to understand situations and stuff. Like some of those, the challenging cases people would thought of years ago. But, like, what if you're driving down the highway and a construction worker, like, starts waving his hands or something by the road or something? AI is probably smart enough to understand the context of that and be like, maybe you should slow down. Thank you, no problem. Driverless car is a rich people thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. It's been a while since I looked up how good it is. Is low bit rate always there, or just sometimes? It's there always when I look at it. It's never seemed to be a problem. The reason that's there is just it's part of the window, and, like, the way my OBS is set up, I just kind of take that part of the window so that it's just part of the status window. There's no real reason for it to be there. Yeah, to see one in action. I think there's a bunch in around the San Francisco area and stuff. With all your video, we could make an AI that talk like you. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's possible. All the edge cases still seem so difficult. Yeah, I mean, before the ChatGPT stuff, like before the AI started really getting crazy, I would have thought it's maybe like something that might not ever be practical, but AI is so good now, and it's only going to keep getting better, that it really does seem like we may, end up with, like, it is conceivable that the AI could even solve the edge cases better than a human could, possibly in the future. I live in Montreal. Yeah, Montreal's not a great place for, anywhere in Canada is not a great place for driverless cars. Edge case for cars, so crazy. Yeah, but AI is now able to, like, understand things in photos. I'm sure it'll get stuff wrong sometimes, but if we just keep, like, throwing data at it, like, eventually it's probably, I would imagine it's still bad, but it's probably measurably improving. And as long as it keeps improving, then you live pretty near. I'm in Kitchener. I haven't been to San Francisco in years, but my understanding is that that's where down in California's world, the actual production driverless cars are. As a mechanical engineer, looking to learn more coding. I'll take your advice on going with C or Python. Yeah, my suggestion on those two is most, like, depending on how your brain is wired and, like, your natural interests, you will probably find that you either like learning to code in C, or you like learning to code in Python, and you hate one or the other. That'll be a likely scenario. I'd say actually, if you're a mechanical engineer, I would actually more strongly recommend C, because there's a higher likelihood that you will build, like to mesh your existing knowledge of mechanical engineering with like physical manipulation of stuff, you are almost certainly going to do embedded system stuff. So like control systems like servos and motors and stepper motors and stuff like that. And if you, I guess there are actually some Raspberry Pi Python stuff, but I would say if you're doing production embedded systems, I think that's pretty much exclusively C. I don't really know of a lot of alternative. Is AI a useful tool to learn coding, or is it giving bad habits? I think the usefulness of AI, like getting ChatGPT to teach you to code, I think it has the highest usefulness, like for beginners. For like, if you imagine if there's something that's out there, it's already repeated and answered like 500 times in the internet. ChatGPT is probably going to give a good answer to like a really basic question, but it's more so when you get into the like more advanced stuff, like when you're an actual production programmer in that area, that's when you'll start to notice like, oh, this is giving bad information, or it's I find often like people say that the quality of the output is related to the quality of the prompts, but as you go more specific, it can kind of converges to the point where you have to craft your prompt so specific that you're basically giving the AI the answer in the prompt. It's a great place for AI car to get into these cases. Great place for AI card to get into these cases. I guess I'm not sure what you mean. Kitchener, Tim Hortons grew. Yep. I haven't been to Tim Hortons in a while. Their food has gone downhill. Thanks for your inputs. Good luck on world domination. Thank you. Python is easy to learn. C is closer to how a device operates. Yes, indeed. Python is a lot of wrapper for embedded. Worked in automotive. Most of the code was Python for testing with MacEng. Okay, that was for like the test suites. Just like having a prototype and pulling data from device and so on. Okay, I assume most of like the actual like device controlling code was probably still in C. Because I think a lot of the stuff that actually runs on like a constrained embedded device usually doesn't have any kind of like garbage collection or anything. Do you know you look like Yuri Rection? Is that a real name? Just kidding. CMage from MathLab. Telemetry systems, all written in Python. It's not a real name when you sounds like something else. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, it almost, like, it does kind of, it does almost look like it could be the name of some like obscure, like, Russian programmer or something. But I don't know, it's not, yes, I guess it's not the typical trolling name I was expecting. I was using cellular 2 minutes ago. Oh, okay. About to work on telemetry pipeline for car. I guess with that telemetry system, yeah, I don't know, like, for some of the higher level stuff, like to run garbage collected languages and stuff, you need more memory. You need to be able to use malloc and stuff like that. But things are getting more complicated. So now we have, like, basically, you know, multiple operating systems that run in your computer now, or in your car now. I followed the CPU instructions, but I don't know how to make the rest of the components to a computer. Please, it took me 2 years to make my CPU. I don't know, I don't have videos for the rest of them, but I have a video on how to start a business. You can watch that. All right, that's broken. Oh, that's because 2 years down the drain. So you followed the CPU instructions. You don't know how to make the rest of the components. I have a video. If you watch my video on what causes bit flips in memory, that goes through a lot of the construction details of the rest of the computer. So if we can figure out how to avoid bit flips in the computer, that'll go a long way toward getting the rest of your computer. And then I have another video on it's also a bit flip related one. That one talks about the motherboard and the process of debugging bit flips and stuff. What did it say? I think it's called a bit flip in memory corrupted my hard drive image. That's a good one to watch. Can you make instructions for the GPU? GPU is pretty similar to the CPU. Made the PC case from wooden sticks. That probably looks cool, but it might be hazardous. It's kind of a fire hazard. So are you doing contract work now? Only YT. Right now, my only source of income is from YouTube. This past year, the contract work just didn't come back. And given the job market, given the overall industry market, I think the opportunities, there were a few years where I was just like, is this all these leads just bad, or what's going on? And eventually it just, there were a couple, there's a handful of people that email me, they're like, hey, I have this idea for an online dating app or something like that. But they're just people with an idea, they have no money to fund any of this stuff, and it's not a, other than that, for independent contract work, high quality independent contract work, it's there's not a lot out there. There's contract positions that are basically you work at a company, you basically are a full-time employee, but they put you on the payroll as a contractor, which is basically just same thing as an employee with less benefits. Actually, the the revenue from YouTube in the last year has basically, I guess I was checking the analytics. It is eclipsed. I forget what my actual record year was, but it's about what my record year was for from the consulting work in previous years. Still make money on my tea? Yeah, it's I mean, it's mixed. YouTube is very volatile. So when my videos are trending, like the difference between when the revenue is good and when the revenue is bad is like, it's like 10x. So when the videos are trending, then everything is great. But if I stop making videos, if I put out some videos that don't get as many views, then the revenue drops quite a bit. And it could be misleading. At the start of this month, it actually seemed like the revenue was starting to go back up, and then I guess YouTube changed their algorithm, and then all my views went down, and also the revenue went down for my channel. But in the last, I decided to go back to doing daily posts, the community posts, because that actually seems to bring in quite a bit of traffic. That like at least doubles the overall channel traffic. So I'm going to go back to doing that, and as soon as I started doing that, the revenue actually went back up. But then also I also had released a couple new videos, so I don't know. It's hard to isolate the variables. As mid-level dev, finding work was ass this year. Yeah, the job market seems pretty awful. I mean, finding a job as a software developer, even when the market was good, it was always terrible. Like it was the whiteboard interviews and stuff, and the fact that it's not it's not fast. I remember even in the good market, like the standard thing was, you take a few months to find a position, and you'd interview with like a whole bunch of companies in order to get the top salary. But from the sound of it, it sounds like you were able to get a position. That's good to know. A lot of people are not getting anything. Yes, excellent. Every time it takes me half an hour. So far, every time it take me half an hour, a year to land anything, if not more. You mean half an hour to get a job? Being a bit dumb, not targeting automotive. Rather than just the language. Maybe just an oddity. Oh, okay. That was confused. Half an hour a year. I thought you meant maybe you only spend every year you switch jobs and you only spend 1.5 hour looking for that job, and you get it like after 30 minutes, which is it's impressive. Half a year though. Yeah, that's not surprising. I think that's so tragic. Like what a waste of humanity. What a waste of people's precious human life. You get all these qualifications and stuff, and then you spend all this time wasting your time and wasting other people's time trying to get a job. Worked on other thing while applying, so not wasted. And that's good. I feel bad for the people who are just graduating now, and they sit in like some studio box apartment that they pay $6,000 a month for, or like some crazy amount of money, applying to stuff all day long, not getting any leads. Still feel crappy for bank account. Yeah, having to drain down your savings is rough. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people got laid off and they did not expect. They never expected to be like unemployed for as long as they were. So they, even though they're like qualified and stuff, their savings ran down to nothing. That's a weird bug. Friend has been out for 2 years and has yet to land her first intern job. Wow. Grad from uni, and I'm not. Yeah, places are probably prioritizing experience a lot more. Man, that's rough. What's the degree in that she has? CS. Yeah, I wasn't sure just because I guess I'm primed to it's hard to figure out what is the real information. It's been, there's lots of sensationalist stuff about people saying that it's incredibly difficult to get a job if you graduate from CS now, but I also kind of news sources are so much more biased these days. It is interesting to hear of specific anecdotal stories that are not just clickbait videos. My scrolling isn't working. I worked 3 places so far. Sad part, their uni did not help them for finding an intern. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think that's like the number one most important thing. In my opinion, that's like the most important thing to look for for any kind of like degree program is if they have some kind of internship program, and the university like actively helps and facilitates students getting internships. Because there's also places that say like, oh, we have internships in a co-op program, and their co-op program is like, they're just like, yeah, go for it, go find a job, and then they don't help them at all. Sometimes the ads for boot camp now, and wonder who would go there. Well, I don't know. There's new people born every day, so they might not have got the memo yet. Eager to make a startup and to find work at the moment. Yeah, hopefully that results in a resurgence of entrepreneurship. I think there's a lot of issues with entrepreneurship is kind of dying out, I think. And it's getting harder, not easier, to start a business. I mean, case in point, like if you want to do a business here in Canada that ships physical products, it's becoming like almost impossible now. Like the shipping costs, like when our postal system is on strike right now, so you can't even send things regardless of how much you pay. You can't ship your products, period, with Canada Post. You can go with this independent courier. So it's like, not even sure what FedEx would be like if I want to send you like a mitten or something, like a hat, to courier that. It would be like probably, I haven't checked the price. It would have to be at least like $50, $50 to $100 to send that anywhere for the courier. Like that's probably the cheapest option. And with Canada Post, you could kind of do it with like, a while ago it was, last time I shipped any amount of stuff, it was like $20 or something. If you're like really conservative on the packaging materials and size and stuff like that. But if you want to just ship a small, cheap item, like it's literally impossible to compete. Unless you're selling like like the minimum order where you'd be able to make money would be like, a couple $100 or something. And if you have, if you do lots of volume, you can get like volume discounts and stuff for like 30%, but Canada Post is a company run by the government with tight rule, not run as investment or service. Yeah, it's the cheapest option for a lot of stuff if you want to, and for some last mile delivery, it's the only option. Even like the couriers will hand stuff off to Canada Post for last mile sometimes. Now, I've got to figure out why. Why is my thing not working? Oh. That's probably because the placement offset is not correct. Are you going to continue your business playlist? Yes. Today I did a little bit of work. I did some recording on. It's going to be extended commentary on law. So there's a few things I can just kind of quickly say about the legal aspects of starting a business. Will there be a dangerous business episode? I don't know. I can't really think about what that would be. I guess I could probably come up with something, but doing gray business. I'm not sure what that would be. All right, there's where my problem is. Oh. Nice, look at that. It's actually scrolling down. Doesn't scroll up, but that's a start. operating a casino shop in Quebec, but offers somewhere legal. Yeah, casinos are a popular thing. I've had people message me and say like, "Hey, want to start a casino with me?" And I said, "No, thanks." Actually, come to think of it, that's a common request. I've had a number of people reach out to me, stuff like that. How to make a CPU? Oh, it's easy. First, you get a rock, then you smash the rock. Now you've got 98% concentrated silicon dioxide. Then you got to purify it to 99.99999% silicon dioxide. Just give an example of gray business in Quebec. Because only a lot of Quebec can do this. And yeah, it's unfortunate how such a small percentage of like everything in the economy is like useful and constructive. It seems like our entire economy is moving towards doing things that are not useful or constructive. I guess that's a special case. Maybe it's time to replace Canada Post. I don't know. I mean, it worked. Like it started when the country started. The thing is, like, it's already, like, you can't reinvent mail delivery. And then the question is, if we replace it, what's it going to be replaced with? Is it going to be some like privatized thing that was started by the cousin of like someone in political power, and then they get a $100 billion grant to run it, and then it's even worse than Canada Post? Pay $50 to receive mail. Yeah, that's an innovation. You could charge people to send, but you could also make money charging people to receive mail. And people can't see. You don't allow people to see what the mail is before they have to pay. And then you could have a scam where you just send people a whole bunch of like irrelevant mail. You just get these like mass spamming mail spam services to send like 100 pieces of spam mail advertising casinos and like cryptocurrency scams. And you have to pay $300 to receive it. Truly an innovative future. Should resolve the crashing. Jay Thomas says, hello, Robert Adler Software. Would you make it as expensive to send as to receive, so you can't abuse it? You could, but then you could also have a special tier where you are able to abuse it, so that way you can get more money out of people. Thank you for teaching me how to make a C. No problem. Thanks for watching the video. Alright, it's gonna crash. Nice. It didn't crash. Look at that, it's a fantastic menu that doesn't crash. Is this your weird mining game that you like to work on? Yes, this is indeed my weird mining game that I like to work on. I hope you like to play my weird mining game. On that topic, I think I reached my milestone for tonight. I think that'll probably be it for development this evening. We made a bit of progress on the generic menu item selector. So it now works with bounds detection. I don't think it works in the other orientation. Nope. But I'll work on that tomorrow. And similarly, I will continue in the next streams. I will continue working on the other features of this so that I can eventually use it for the inventory, because the inventory needs an update. Yeah, that'll be it for tonight. So we'll resume work tomorrow for day 158. All right. Have a good night, guys.